welcome back to today's session. So, we will take up module 1. So, as discussed in the introductory session, you are aware the module 1 covers topics of analog electronics, and rest of the modules you have topics which are picked up from digital electronics. So, we will have a quick look into what are the topics that are to be discussed under module 1. So, under module 1 you are referring to chapter 7, 4, 17 and 13 of your prescribed textbook. So, you are referring to 4 topics have been picked up from 4 chapters of your prescribed textbook, and the very first chapter you will be looking into under module 1 is the optoelectronic devices, wherein we are picked up topic related to optoelectronic devices, which includes photodiode. So, we will elaborate, we will see what for photodiode is, what is the constructional details of your photodiode and how a photodiode operates along with their applications. So, once we are done with the photodiode, we will take up one more optical device. It is a transmitting device. We have among the various optical transmitting device, LED plays a very important role, and we will see what a light emitting diode is, its constructional details, working principle and applications. And after this we have what is called as optocouplers. So, as the name indicates, so these are optoelectronic devices used to couple electrical signal from one part of the circuit to another part of the circuits, and these are the 3 topics which have been picked up from chapter 7 of your prescribed textbook. So, you have topics picked up from chapter 7 of your prescribed textbook, and these are the topics. And next we have is BJT bipolar junction transistor biasing. So, you know what a bipolar junction transistor is. So, why we call them as bipolar is because the both the charge carriers, that is electrons and volts, they contribute to the flow of current in the BJTs. So, we have 2 types of BJTs, if you can recall what you have already studied in your basic electronics. So, bipolar junction transistor is formed by sandwiching a type of semiconductor between opposite type of semiconductors, and accordingly we have a PNP transistor and an NPN transistor, and it is a 3 terminal semiconductor device wherein the 3 terminals are called as collector, base and emitter. So, we have a collector junction, we have a base junction and an emitter junction. Basic working of these transistors you have already seen. You have seen the constructional details, you have looked into the characteristics, you have looked into various regions in which transistor operates, and to keep if you want for amplification purpose, you see to it that the transistor is always working in active region. And to keep the transistor in active region, you should see to it that base emitter is forward biased and collector base junction is reverse biased. And to do so, we have various biasing circuits, which includes fixed bias, and among the 2 transistors, NPN is most popularly used transistor, and in this we can configure the circuit in 3 different configurations, that is common base, common emitter and common collector configuration. Out of the 3 configuration, common emitter is widely used because of the stability of operation of your common emitter configuration. So, what do you mean by common base? If base is held common between the input and output, we call it as common base. If emitter is common between the input and output, we call it as a common emitter. And common collector configuration is a configuration where collector terminal is held common between the input and output. And out of all the 3 configuration, common emitter is widely used. And how to connect your transistor in common emitter region, in common emitter active region, there are various ways. We have fixed bias, collector to base bias, voltage divider bias, fixed or self bias, collector to base bias, voltage divider base bias, and we also have emitter bias or self bias. What all these biasing configurations are, how to bias your bipolar junction transistor using one of these biasing circuits in detail, we will discuss in the subsequent topic. And these are topics which have been picked up from chapter 7 of your prescribed textbook. So all these topics have been picked up from chapter 4 of your prescribed textbook. And next we have is operational amplifier, or we term them as op-amps. So the fundamentals of op-amps you have already discussed in your basic electronics, wherein you know op-amp is a high gain voltage differential amplifier. Why we call it as, why we use the term operational with amplifier is with op-amp is because it is used to construct, it is used to do various operations such as summer. It can be used to add multiple signals. It can be used as a differentiator, it can be used as an integrator, and so on. So all these fundamental applications of your op-amp you have studied in your basic electronics, and in this course we will take up advanced applications like peak detector. I'll just list a few in detail. When in the due course we will look into each one of them in detail. So just to list a few important advanced applications of your op-amp, we have peak detector. So you want to measure the peak value in the input signal. We can rig up a op-amp as a peak detector and see how it can extract the peak value from the input signal. And apart from this, we have a Schmitt trigger. So Schmitt trigger is a circuit which is it is basically a wave shaping circuit which converts your any shaped waveform into a square wave. And we also have various filters. What is a filter? Basically, filter is a circuit which allows some signal to be passed and blocks some signals. What are the different? Based on what it is passing and what it is stopping, we have different types. We have a low pass filter, we have a high pass filter, we have a band pass filter, and so on. And apart from this, we have a non-linear amplifier, we have relaxation oscillator, we have voltage to current converter, current to voltage converter. All these advanced applications of your op-amp we will be studying under as the next topic. And these topics have been picked up from chapter 17 of your of one of your prescribed textbook. And apart from this is the topics have been picked up from chapter 17 of one of your prescribed textbook. And apart from this, we have is a 555 timer. 555 timer IC. So what is that? What is the various functional blocks of your 555 timer? What is that you find inside a 555 timer? Why you call it as 555? Why is it called as 555 timer? And what are the applications of 555 timer? So at this point I will just tell what a multi-vibrator is. So your if multi-vibrator is a circuit which is capable of switching between different states. So based on how many stable states we have three types of multi-vibrators. A stable multi-vibrator, as the name indicates, there are no stable state. In a monostable multi-vibrator, the output it has only single stable state. Either I is in a stable state or a low is a stable state, and when triggered it momentarily goes to another stable state and gets back to its stable state. And it has bistable state wherein both the states are stable states. So how to use 555 timer to realize an unstable multi-vibrator and a monostable multi-vibrators. So we will see what is inside a 555 timer, why we call it as a 555 timer, how to rig up a 555 timer as an unstable multi-vibrator and a monostable multi-vibrator. We will look in detail, and these topics have been picked up from chapter 13 of your prescribed textbook. So basically, if you are referring to your textbook, you have topics picked up from these chapters 7, 4, 17 and 14. So with this quick look into what are all the topics we are looking in the first module, wherein we will be discussing optoelectronic devices. We will look into in detail with the biasing circuits of your BJT. We will look what an operational amplifier, fundamentals or basics or foundation to your operational amplifier as already been laid in your basic electronics. We will carry forward with advanced applications. We have just listed a few applications which includes peak detectors, mid trigger, active filters, different types of active filters, voltage to current converter, current to voltage converter, relaxation oscillator and so on. And we will introduce a term called as 555 timer. What a 555 timer, what are the various functional blocks which makes up your 555 timer, and how a 555 timer can be used as an astable multivibrator and monostable multivibrator we will see. And if you can relate this with your laboratory counterpart, so we have 3 experiments which are to be conducted as a part of your analog electronics. This we will discuss in detail when we take up the laboratory session. So with this we will straight away start with optoelectronic devices. We will see what a photodiode is, how it is constructed, what is the working principle, what are its applications, what is the characteristics of photodiode. We will take up LED, what is an LED, constructional details, operation and working principle and optocoupler. So today's class we will try to cover up photodiode, light emitting diode and optocoupler. We will take up the constructional details, working and characteristic of your photodiode before we jump into the applications of your photodiode. So this figure shows the constructional details of your photodiode. So it is formed by diffusing an N-type and a P-type layer, and we have to make connections, we have terminal drawn. This is for making external connections to the cathode of your PN junction, and here we have one more terminal drawn to make connections to the anode of your PN junction. So please note, when a P and N type semiconductors they are brought together, what happens is the electrons which is the minority carrier in which happens to be the majority carriers in N region, they diffuse into the P region, and the holes which are majority carrier in the P region, they come and they diffuse into the N region. As a result, what happens is a depletion region is created at the PN junction, stopping further movement of the charge carriers. So you can see depletion region formed when P type and N type semiconductors they are brought together. And please note, what we are using special type of semiconductors for forming a photodiode, which includes your silicon, it could be constructed using silicon, germanium, indium, gallium arsenide and so on. So the special semiconductor materials like silicon, germanium, indium, gallium arsenide, mercury, cadmium, telluride. Usually your photodiodes they are constructed using these type of special semiconductor devices. And you can see the top surface of the junction is coated with silicon dioxide, and we have a special window provided here. This is a window provided to allow the light intensity to fall on the PN junction, and this is usually coated with an anti-reflective layer which prevents reflection and allows the light to be absorbed into the PN junction. So this is basically the construction of your photodiode. It has an N type material and P type material which is diffused together, which are brought together to form a PN junction, and these materials are constructed using one of these materials. And when junction is formed, holes diffuse into the N region and electrons diffuse into the P region, forming a PN junction. We have terminals, metal contacts made of aluminum brought to the either ends to make external connections, and we have silicon diode coating on the top, and also we have a window provided to allow light intensity to fall onto the PN junction, and this window is coated with an anti-reflective layer to allow maximum absorption. And we will take up the working or operational principle of a photodiode. As I said, photodiode is a diode which starts conducting when light intensity falls on it. So, basically the current generated in a photodiode circuit depends on the intensity of light falling on it. So, essentially we will keep the photodiode in reverse bias. So, when do we say the photodiode is reverse biased? When anode is connected to the positive terminal, when anode is connected to negative terminal and cathode is connected to positive terminal, we call it as reverse biased. So, thereby we are connecting anode to the negative terminal and cathode to the positive terminal of the battery, and we allow light intensity to fall on the PN junction. So, what happens when the light intensity falls on the PN junction is that the photons of your light energy is picked up by the charge carriers here, and as a result the electrons and holes, they start diffusing in over the depletion region, they overcome the depletion region, and as a result you can see the reverse current flowing in the circuit. And the amount of current flowing in the circuit depends on the light intensity falling on the junction, and this can be understood with the help of VI characteristics. So, what is VI characteristics? So, we have what is called as VI characteristic to depict the working of the photodiode. We plot a voltage versus current characteristics. So, we take voltage along the x axis and current along the voltage along the x axis and current along the y axis, and you can see because it is in reverse bias, we are considering the negative axis of the plot. So, you can see the current flowing when the voltage is 0, we call it as dark current, because there is no bias applied, and there is still some current flowing in the circuit due to the reverse bias, due to minority carriers, and we will call them as dark current. And when I start increasing the light intensity falling on the junction, what happens is the reverse current starts flowing in the circuit, and if you see, as you go on increasing the light intensity, when it is 1000 lumens per meter square, the current is around 100 microamps. When you increase it to 15,000, the current flowing in the circuit increases to 200 microamps. And when you further increase it to further increase the intensity of light to 20,000 lumens per meter square, the current in the circuit increases to 300 microamps. Why we are designating them as minus is because to indicate that it is a reverse current. So, this is how basically your photodiode works. So, you have a figure showing the constructional details. We have a circuit which can be used to demonstrate the working of a photodiode, and to understand the characteristics, to understand the working of the photodiode, we explain it with a VI characteristics, because we are using negative axis to plot the VI characteristics, because it is always in the reverse bias mode. So, with this we will try to discuss what are all the possible where is exactly your photodiodes used, what are the applications of your photodiode. And before we try to discuss what are the applications of our photodiode, we will see what amount of current is flowing in the circuit in a photodiode circuit. So, I will call it as I is going to be ISC, where ISC stands for short circuit current, plus I naught into 1 minus e to the power of V by delta Vt. So, here ISC is the short circuit current and I naught is the reverse current, V is the reverse voltage, and delta it depends on what type of semiconductor material you are using. It is 1 for silicon and 2 for germanium, and Vt is temperature dependent, voltage dependent on the temperature. So, it is voltage proportional to the temperature. So, this at any instant this is the expression for current flowing in the circuit. Now, we will take up the applications wherein your photodiodes are used. So, very first is it is used in some electronic devices like smoke detectors. So, what is smoke detectors? They are used, or fire detectors. You sense the smoke present in, and accordingly the light intensity or the intensity is proportional to the fire or smoke is converted into electrical energy. So, associated with this you usually have alarms indicating the presence of smoke, and it is also used with in some devices like CD players, TV remotes. So, various electronic devices such as remote controls, CD drivers and smoke detectors, they are making use of your photodiodes. And along with this you find it in clock radios. So, you are using it in clock radios, light meters. So, it is also used in industries to measure the light intensity. So, various in industries to measure the light intensity, we are making use of what is called as photodiodes. So, with this we will move on to light emitting diodes. So, light emitting diodes, as the name indicates, they are diodes which emit light when they are forward biased. So, we will take up what a light emitting diode is. What are the constructional details of a light emitting diode? How does a light emitting diode operate, and what are their potential applications? So, here we have the constructional cross sectional view of a light emitting diode to depict the constructional details of your light emitting diode, and this is the symbolic representation of an LED. So, we have a diode, normal diode representation, and light rays emerging from the diode indicating it is emitting light. So, light emitting diode, and this is a diagram circuit used to explain the working or operation of your light emitting diode. So, if you look into the cross section of your light emitting diode, you can see the constructional details of your light emitting diode. So, you can see as you are aware, diode is formed by bringing a p type and an n type layer of suitable material which has light emitting properties. We are bringing those two together to form a diode PN junction, and please note the p type layer is formed by using diffused p type layer, and n type is constructed using epitaxial method, wherein you have an n type substrate and you allow n region to grow over the substrate. This is some technology used to produce an n type material. So, p type is produced using diffusion type p type. Why we call it as diffused p type and epitaxial n type? It is named after the way in which it is developed. So, here we are using diffusion method to draw a p type semiconductor, and on an n substrate we try to grow n layer. So, that is that method of constructing an n type semiconductor, we call it as epitaxial layer. So, we bring this together, and when you bring a p type and an n type semiconductor together, there are diffusion of holes into the n region and electrons into the p region, forming a depletion region. And please note, this is a diode which starts conducting when which starts emitting light when it is forward biased. Essentially, this needs to be forward biased. So, we are connecting p type to positive of the battery and n type to the negative of the battery. And to provide external connection, we have metal film oxide which is used to draw connection for anode material, and we have a gold film cathode. A layer of gold film is drawn onto the end layer to which acts as terminal for making connections to the cathode terminal. And please note, we are always putting p type onto the n type, because electrons they start in diffusing into the p region, and their electron hole combination is formed, and the light starts emitting from the emerging from the p type semiconductor. So if you put it the other way, you try to put n over p, the light will be emitted from the p region and you will not be able to see the light rays. So that is the reason we always put p type material on the n type material, so that the light which is emerging out of the junction is made visible. So what we do here, this shows the cross sectional view, and if you want to understand the construction, I put it in a better diagram here. So you can see we have a p type layer and an n type layer which is forward biased using a voltage supply. And as when you forward bias, what happens is, electrons which are majority carrier in n region, they start diffusing into the p region. So as a result, you can see recombination, electron hole recombination happening at the depletion region, and when electrons and holes they start recombining, they emit radiation, and this process we call it as electroluminescence. So it is a property of semiconductor material wherein it starts emitting light whenever it is forward biased due to the electron hole recombination. And if you can see this energy band diagram, so when I forward bias, what happens is electrons move from lower potential yield to upper potential yield, and that is they move from valence band to the conduction band, and holes they tend to stay in the valence band, and as a result there are electron hole recombination formed at the junction depletion region, and this recombination energy when the electron hole they recombine is emitted as light radiation. Though you also find electron hole recombination at the other at p and n layers as well, most of these recombination they are absorbed as heat energy, and whatever you see at the depletion region they emerge as light rays. And the color of light emitted depends upon the forbidden energy gap. So and this in turn depends on the semiconductor material used for your construction. So that is where you can see a red LED, a green LED, or different types of light emitting diodes, which wherein the light emitted or the color of light emitted depends on the forbidden energy gap. It is directly proportional to this forbidden energy gap. So this shows the constructional details and working of your light emitting diode, and where exactly light emitting diodes are used, where do you find the applications of light emitting diodes. So you are aware light emitting diodes are used mainly in displays. So you want to display the status of any signal, we are making use of light emitting diodes. So you basically use light emitting diodes in remote control system, in calculators to display the status of a data, and digital computers to indicate the status of a signal whether it is a low or a high, and in various digital displays, traffic signals, all these in all these scenarios you are making use one or the other type of light emitting diodes, wherein you are indicating it as a display. So you are basically using light emitting diodes as a display. So with this we complete light emitting diodes. We will move on to what is called as optocouplers, the third type of optoelectronic device which is to be discussed. So the next type of optoelectronic device is an optocoupler. So it is also called as a photocoupler. So we also term them as electric isolators. So what, as the name indicates, they are used to couple electrical signals. So basically it is used to transmit signal from one part of the circuit to another part of the circuit, still isolating the two parts of the circuit. So if you are to couple signals from one part of the circuit to another part of the circuit in a very noisy environment, you would want the you don't want the noise to be picked up by the circuit. So in such cases we have what is called as optocoupler or photocoupler. So these devices, they come as a sealed unit. So it is a sealed unit with an optical, which comprises of optical transmitting device and a photosensitive device, which are brought together by means of some sort of coupling, either which is wherein the transmitting media is either air or some dielectric. So basically it comprises of a transmitting device and a photosensitive device coupled by either by means of air or some dielectric means. So it is a sealed package, and your signal from the input end is coupled to the output end. So it is used to transmit electrical signal from one part of the circuit to another part of the circuit. And what is this transmitting device? So transmitting device is it could be any optoelectronic device such as a light emitting diode, which we have shortly seen. So light emitting diode is a diode which is capable of converting your electrical energy into light energy. So it is producing a light proportional to the electrical energy given to it. And apart from this, you have a transistor, phototransistor, which emits light whenever it is forward biased. So we have a phototransistor, and you could have a laser, or it could be a lamp. So basically all these are optical transmitting devices which are capable of converting your electrical energy into light energy. So light emitting diode, it produces a light of suitable intensity depending on the forward bias, bias used for biasing this light emitting diode. And likewise you have phototransistors. So these are transistors which produce light whenever it is forward biased. And we have lamps. So what are lamps? Lamps are basically opto devices which are capable of producing light of sufficient intensity depending on what current is used to drive these lamps. And we have laser. Laser stands for light amplification by simulated emission and radiations. So these are again light transmitting devices. So whenever I give some input voltage, so this input voltage is converted to corresponding light signals, and this is picked up by your photosensitive device, and we are using in between to transmit from the transmitting device to the sensitive, the optical sensitive device. We are using some transmitting media which is usually air or dielectric. And for photosensitive devices, as the name indicates, they are devices which senses the presence of light energy and converts it into electrical energy. So you can think of this as a transducer which converts light energy to electrical energy. And you have a wide range of choices to be made for photosensitive devices. It could be a photodiode, you could have a phototriac, photodiac, and so on. So these devices, what they do is they pick up they sense the presence of light falling on it and converts it into electrical energy. So thereby your input electrical signal will be coupled to the output electrical signal. So to understand, this shows the constructional details of your optocoupler. To understand the working of your optoelectronic or photocouplers, we have an arrangement something like this. So we this is the input signal, input electrical signal. So because this is one of these optical transmitting devices, here I am making a choice of an LED. So LED is used as an optical transmitting device here. So this is forward biased. When it is forward biased, what happens? It starts emitting light. This starts emitting light, and this light is picked up by a photodiode, and this photodiode starts conducting whenever light of sufficient intensity falls on it, and the amount of current flowing in the circuit depends on the light intensity falling here. So, you can see here your photodiode is forward biased, producing the light proportional to the electrical signal here. So, this is your input electrical signal, and your your photodiode picks up these light and produces an electrical signal current proportional to the voltage or light intensity falling on it. So, this is essentially reverse biased, while this is forward biased. And if you can see it as a package, you could write one more diagram. So, wherein I can write it as a complete package. So, we have pins 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5 and 6. So, here the pin here I am supplying the data coming these are data coming from the input circuit, and this is picked up by a transmitting device which converts your electrical signal to light signal, and this is picked up by a photo sensor. So, this is a photo transmitting device which picks up the electrical signal, converts it to light energy, and this is your photo sensor which senses the presence of light signal and converts it into electrical signal. So, as a result you have current flowing into the external circuit. This happens to be the input part of the optocoupler, and this happens to be the output part. So, what we do here is electrical signal is converted into light signal, and this is picked up by the sensor and it is converted back to current signal. As a result, you are transmitting your electrical signal from this portion to this portion. Why this conversion? Because if it is kept in a noisy environment, we do not want the noise to interfere the operation. So, we convert it into electrical photo signals, so that the interference of noise, external electrical noise is prevented, thereby coupling the electrical signal from one part to the other part, still isolating it. So, the applications of your optocoupler includes, as I said, it is used for switching from input to output in a noisy environment. It is used in switch mode power supplies. It is used to provide electrical isolation. It is used with PC and modem connections and so on. So, with this we are up by one part of your module 1, wherein we are introduced what a photodiode is, we looked into what a LED is, and we also looked into the optocoupler, wherein we try to couple the electrical signal from one part to another part by converting it into optical signals. In the next class, we will take up bipolar junction transistor. So, you are already aware of what bipolar junction transistor is in your first year. So, it is basically there are two types of BJTs, a PNP and an NPN transistors, and out of the two types of transistor, NPN is widely used, and we will take up what are the different ways of biasing NPN transistor in the next class. So, with this we will conclude for today's session. We will try to catch up again with various BJT biasing circuits in the next class.